Hello everyone, this is Jason and welcome back to the channel. In today's video, I chat with Jared of Silica Nexus as we discuss cryptocurrency, gaming, and virtual reality. But before we begin, please subscribe. So Jared, thank you for joining me today.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
So I wanted to ask you, how did you get involved with virtual reality and augmented reality?
So I got involved in it two-way, kind of twofold. I do work for an Autodesk company, and that sells Autodesk software as my other job, and they do a lot of virtual reality. Believe it or not, like if you wanted to develop a house, you can see it in virtual reality before the developers start building it. So it's like the blueprints come to life.
So
So
CAD, like computer aided drafting, something like that?
yeah, like CAD. Yeah, like they have one called Revit now. It's like CAD on steroids. It's kind of how I would put it. Um, and so that's kind of what's interesting to me is how virtual realities come not just to video games, but to architecture and engineering and other facets of life that I don't know. When I was a kid, all I thought about was the video games.
Right, yeah, exactly.
And now I'm like, oh, it's so much more than video games. Uh, but the other way I got into virtual reality is actually I got into cryptocurrency more first.
Okay,
I I got real into cryptocurrency, so I went to this meetup called Bitcoin Louisville. We're based out of Louisville, Kentucky,
okay.
and I met the founder of this project, Andrew Prell, who and he's doing this. It's a blockchain video game meets VR and augmented reality all wrapped up into one project. And I was like, yes.
Nice, nice. So,
So,
okay, so rolling into that, so everyone has a story about how they got into crypto, and that was partially yours. But did you get into like full on, like buying Bitcoin, buying Litecoin, one of those, or was it more just staying along the lines of the project you were working
so actually, I got into crypto by buying, FOMO in 2017. I, I was like, oh, I gotta buy Bitcoin. Oh, I had it horrible. Because I bought like $20 worth of Ether
on? Okay,
back in like mid 2017 before it really went up in price.
right.
And I bought it for like quarter of an ether for $20,
All
and
right,
I saw it go up to $1,400.
right, right, right,
And I just went crazy. And
yeah,
then, but how I put it, and then of course we had the crash, but I just fell in love with the technology.
right,
So I kind of stayed. Do I think there's a lot of money in this technology we made? Oh hell yes. But I just fell in love with the whole everything it can do and what it's about,
right,
and not just a quick buck. I
right,
don't see it as a quick dollar anymore. You
right.
know, I
Yeah,
grew out of that.
yeah, and I think the people who are here now are the people who are the true believers. I want to believe, where you went through the crash, and most crashes would scare people out, right? But if you're still here, you're not here just solely for the money. You're here for the potential too.
Yep.
So I wanted to ask you, Silica Nexus. What does that mean? Like, why did you decide on that name?
Well, and some of that has to do with that. You mentioned, how this whole project sounds a little bit like a sci-fi novel. That's
Right.
kind of that name, Silica Nexus, is based off the sci-fi book that one of our founders wrote. That was kind of an inspiration for the project.
Right.
But um, one thing I'll point out with Nexus that's not commonly known. Um, is the basic idea is there's these alien invaders that are coming in through these portals. You have to fight them. Well, and they're called Nephilim. So NEX, the X is always capitalized.
Right.
US. So it's Nephilim versus us is actually kind of what Nexus is in a way.
Oh, nice, nice. I didn't realize that. Okay, because I was looking at the Droid white paper, and like I was saying in our pre-conversation, it does read like a science fiction novel, and I mean it took me it didn't take me long because I know it said it talked about the Joy token, but I was so fascinated by the story, I forgot about the whole crypto aspect. I was like, I want to read this. you know. So tell I believe you said his name was Tom. So tell Tom that he needs to write more, and we need more of his work out in the sci-fi space.
I'm gonna mention that to him the next time I talk to him. This will make him so happy that we're talking about his books while on this meeting. He'll be pleased.
Cool.
So
So one thing that I noticed was that the Joy token was an IEO, initial exchange offering, versus an ICO, initial coin offering. So can you give me an idea for the people who don't know? What's the difference, and also why do one versus the other?
okay, so the difference is in a traditional ICO. I have the smart contract on my website. You send me the Ether or Bitcoin, and then I just send you my tokens. Um, and that's, so it's direct between me and you, me, the business, you, the customer or investor, or however you want to put it.
Mhm.
Um, where an IEO, we have a middleman, an exchange doing that side of things. And the big advantage of that is, one, the exchange is trusted by the people who are using the exchange. So they go, okay, the exchange vetted this company. So I don't have to worry as much about not getting tokens, for instance, or it's a scam project or something weird like that.
Okay.
And then also the IEO is able to vet the people buying and purchasing the tokens, make sure that there's nothing weird going on that side, or at least that's the ideal, is they've done KYC, some things like that. That would be harder for us as a company to do.
Right. So, and also it helps prevent exit scams because the company has already been vetted by the exchange that is listing the token.
Yeah, it's both protects the customer and it protects us, between and also makes us more trustworthy because we're using someone else instead of just say, hey, give me your token, see what happens.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So
Well, and you mentioned the 2017 2018 market, and a lot of that was going on where people were just creating tokens and saying this would be worth such and such in 10 years, send me your money, get in early. And it's like, well, who are you, what do you do, and how do I know I'm not just throwing my money down the well? So yeah, I guess
right.
that would help alleviate that concern. um so when you're so the Droid token is embedded, it is a part of the Nexus project, or is it like a side, just kind of affiliated? Like how
So
close?
it Yeah, it's part of the Silica Nexus project. So one thing I like to emphasize, the big goal, I like to always say the big goal first is to make what we call cross reality, meaning me and you could play the same game on different devices and it's gonna work.
Okay.
And one thing that blockchain's great for making that a possibility is storage of items, video game items, or even, to me, it's almost like a memory card. It could be like a memory card for your game console that works no matter what game console you're on.
Right.
So, like, when I was a kid, it was N64 and PlayStation. And it'd be like having a card that would work with either of
Right. Right.
them. And
Okay. Yeah.
that's, are you familiar with NFTs, the whole non fungible token thing? So we realized the whole idea that you can have video game items on the blockchain just takes care of so many problems that have been part of video games since the late 90s. There's been tons of these digital video game economies, from World of Warcraft and EverQuest, yeah, to EVE Online,
Yeah.
but there's not a good way to trade your items or sell them. You can do it over eBay, and good luck. Hope you don't get scammed.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah. Well,
I
and also
mean,
when you think like the Warcraft auction house, is basically rigged by this point, where people are I'm, well, don't get me started on Warcraft.
Well, you understand the exact problems I'm talking about then. I mean, so the first step we're going to do is create a marketplace for the NFTs. And so you'll be able to do peer-to-peer trading, and we're going to use smart contract technology. So when you want to trade items, and it could be across games. So maybe you have I'm going to use a for instance for people who aren't familiar with the blockchain games because they're so new.
Right.
Like if we wanted to trade a Fortnite item for a World of Warcraft item, and we made it for the blockchain. I could put my Fortnite item up and go into an escrow account. You put up, and then until you send your item to the same thing, that you don't get it. It's just the smart contracts holding it.
Okay.
So it makes it safe. And if you never send your item, it just gives it back to me. No problem.
So it's basically, as opposed to me dropping my item in the game's auction house, it allows me to interact with people who may not be on that game who still want to purchase the item, and then the smart contract makes sure that no one gets scammed on either side.
Yep, exactly.
Okay, that's okay. All right.
There's one other aspect to this, though. There's
Okay.
one other thing that I have to. Obviously, you'll be able to auction your item too. Our droid tokens is partially for trading. How often are your NFTs equal to each other? Exact. So you have to have something to break the price difference between the value of the NFTs and purchase NFTs. The other thing we're doing is setting up kiosks in physical video game arcades, like a Dave and Buster's.
Okay, nice.
And so when you win tickets, you can exchange those tickets for NFTs or our droid tokens.
Nice. Okay. Okay. Wow. Okay. Yeah. Nice. Is that something that's going to be rolled out soon, or what do you think the time?
We're shooting for 2020.
Okay. Nice. Wow. That's wow. Okay. Okay, that's next level because now you're taking you're taking a real world item and translate it into something that works on the blockchain. And that's actually game changing because I don't think there's very many people who are thinking about doing that, and especially in the gaming industry, because the gaming industry tends to be focused on itself without how do we bring things from the outside in.
Mm-hmm.
You guys are doing that, and I like that's very cool. So
Thank you.
thank you for mentioning that. So how do you think VR is changing gaming? Do you think we're going to see more like so we've had virtual reality games actually for a while. I'd say about 20 years. You've had virtual reality games to a point, primarily shooters, and like where you put the helmet on. And there's a experience at Disneyland now, which is an immersive. You're fighting in Star Wars.
Can't wait for that.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. The So I'm wondering if we'll see more of the single person virtual reality where it's you in the helmet, or if we'll see like experiences where you walk into something and you'll see like everything around you that is virtual reality. So how do you think the virtual reality field is going to develop?
So here's the thing that VR suffers from right now.
Okay.
Is you have all these different headsets like the Oculus Rift, and I'm trying to remember some of the it's gonna slip my mind who some of the other competitors are to Oculus Rift, but there's a lot.
But I know Oculus Rift is probably the one that most people are associated with.
Right. So one thing that's happened is the different VR headsets aren't compatible with each other. So I have to make a different app for each headset to work. And then also, how do you make them so if you're using Oculus Rift, if I'm using the Google one to make it work together, or Disney has that cool Star Wars game.
Right.
Could we maybe make that So I could be on my headset at home and still play with you, even though you're at the theme park.
Right. Right. Okay. Yes. Cross.
That's our goal with that cross reality.
Okay. Yeah.
So we're trying to take a walled garden and bust it open
Right.
because it's keeping, there's not much virtual reality games made yet. And partially it's because of the walled garden effect. The game developers are like, okay, if I make this for Oculus Rift, how many people own an Oculus Rift? In a couple million, maybe. So maybe, so they're like, how do we, so if we bust that walled garden open, then more game developers are going to pour in because they have a bigger market.
Yeah, that's true. And not being able to, and well, that was always an issue with the gaming consoles. You know, like if I have an Xbox One and you have a PlayStation, we can't play together. They're two different systems altogether, two different networks, quite frankly. You know, so yeah, that's a good point. That cross-platforming would make a big difference in gaming moving forward if people could play across different platforms with each other.
So that's what my prediction is: getting rid of the walled gardens and opening it up, and more VR games made because more openness. That's my hope. That's my hope, really.
All
So,
right. So let's bring it to a close there. And once again, I want to thank you so much for taking the time to speak with me.
it's been
Um,
great, Dave.
where can we find more information on Silica Nexus?
So, I mean, obviously, there's the website fund.silicanexus.com. Our Telegram channel is a great place to ask questions. And actually, on our pinned post in our Telegram channel, it has all sorts of links to YouTube videos, to our Reddit, Twitter, everything. So I always I recommend those two, and then of course our YouTube channel has a lot going on as well.
Okay, so everyone, I'm going to link all of those contacts in the description below, and also we'll put a link to the YouTube channel at the end of the video. So, Jared, I want to thank you so much once again for taking the time to speak with me. I know you're busy, so I'm going to let you go. And please stay in touch and keep me updated on what goes on with Silica Nexus.
I certainly will. I hope to be on in a few weeks or a month from now. So
Sounds good. All right, Jared, take care.
you too. Bye.